None of the characters in the Amazing Digital Circus have genitals. Gooseworks confirmed this on Twitter. And that's actually why Kane forgets every single time Zooble asks if they can have sex in the circus. It goes against his programming so hard that he literally deletes the request from his memory. Kane is the second hardest character to animate in the entire show, right after Gangle. And the reason is that his teeth have to do two jobs at the same time. They have to lip sync to whatever he's saying, but they also have to act as his facial expressions. His top row of teeth moves like eyebrows on a normal face. So in every frame, the animators have to figure out how to make a pair of teeth show emotions while also matching what he's saying. Kane knows nothing about the internet. He doesn't even know it exists. He's an AI running a circus, and he doesn't even know there's internet out there. Which makes the C and A stuff even sadder, because he knows there's something outside his world, but he has no way to learn anything about it. In the Polish dub of episode 3, when the humans come back from the adventure and Kane welcomes them, he doesn't call them meowing milkmaids like in the English version. Instead, he calls them Skibbity Sigmas.
Okay.
No i jak tam, moje Skibbity Sigmy?
And the voice actor for Kane even recorded that line himself later for a meme video. Ragatha's eye with the button on it might not just be a design choice. There's a theory that in real life, Ragatha is blind in one eye, and when she entered the digital world, that eye was replaced with a button on her avatar. It's never been confirmed, but it would explain why it's always the same eye. Gooseworks voices Bubble herself. She also voices the moon, and her sister, Peyton Goodwin, voices the sun. So the sun and the moon in the digital circus are literally voiced by two sisters. Jax chose his own name in the circus, and Gooseworks said she likes to imagine that Jax is also the one who named Gangle. Every character got their circus name in a different way. It wasn't just given to them by Kane. Jax never brushes his teeth. His voice actor, Michael Kovacs, asked Gooseworks about it because Jax's teeth are clearly yellow. And she said, there's no way Jax brushes his teeth. Just look at them. Someone also asked what Jax keeps in his pocket, and Gooseworks said gardening mulch. And on top of that, Jax gets drunk after just one drink. Pomni was first designed to look like a frog. Gooseworks always wanted her to be the character the audience relates to. But at some point, she realized that if Pomni was going to be the main character, her design should be connected to the circus. So she removed the frog idea and made her a jester instead. Gooseworks worked at McDonald's for 5 years before she got fired for always showing up late. And that experience directly inspired the episode Fast Food Masquerade. The layout of the restaurant Spudsies in the episode is actually based on the real McDonald's where she used to work. Episode 7 is called Beach Episode, but the characters are only on the beach for less than 5 minutes. After that, the whole episode turns into an escape plan, so the title is basically a troll. Gooseworks designed Jax to match her own taste in characters. During the Glitchazama, she said, "He couldn't not be my favorite, because I designed him to be everything I like in characters." And she added, "I like terrible characters." The Wacky Watch website updated in March 2026 and now shows static on the screen. But if you reload the page, there's a chance you'll see red and blue flashes instead of the static. The same red and blue colors that appear when Kane glitches. Nobody knows exactly what it means yet, but it clearly teases something about episode 8. There's a hidden message on the Wacky Watch website that plays backwards, and if you reverse it, it says, "Kane is a madman. Help us, save us." It's a reference to the 2001 movie Spy Kids, but considering everything we know about Kane now, it hits different. There was also a point where the Wacky Watch website showed a short clip of Pomni sleeping in her room, filmed from the perspective of what appears to be one of Kane's all-seeing eyeballs. He watches them sleep. Someone asked Gooseworks during an AMA what flavor gummy goo is, because he's a gummy crocodile, so it's a fair question. And she said pineapple lime. And the funny thing is, they actually made a gummy goo keychain you can buy, and it smells like pineapple lime. You have to respect that level of commitment. Remember when Kane deleted gummy goo at the end of episode 2? He said he couldn't let NPCs into the circus, because if he started losing track of who is human and who is an NPC, who knows what could happen. That sounds reasonable, but there's a problem. Ming is an NPC. He lives in the circus, and Kane doesn't seem to care. So either Kane lied about why he deleted gummy goo, or his own rules don't make sense. Or there's a much darker reason why he didn't want a self-aware NPC like Gummy Goo walking around the circus. Gooseworks confirmed that Kane would fall for every verbal prank. Even if someone explains the joke to him, he would take it literally, and the next time, he would fall for it again. Which makes sense, because he's an AI that doesn't really understand the context. Gooseworks also said that Bubble knows every verbal prank. So Kane, the powerful AI who runs the entire circus, gets fooled every time. But Bubble, his small sidekick who supposedly has no real purpose, understands something about language that Kane never will. And if Bubble really is a separated part of Kane's mind, like we talked about in this video, that would mean Kane split off the part of himself that actually understands things. Gooseworks said that episode 8 is the episode she's most satisfied with out of the entire series. For reference, the one she's least satisfied with is the pilot. So whatever happens on March 20th, the creator herself thinks it's her best work. Episodes 7 and 8 were originally supposed to be one episode, but they split it into two. That means episode 8 continues right where episode 7 ended, with no time skip. So the Kane scene is still going to be important. Pomni is a real word in Russian. It means remember, or don't forget. Gooseworks confirmed this at MomoCon 2024. And when you think about the fact that everyone in the circus had their memories erased by Kane, the main character's name is literally telling her to remember. Also, XDDCC, the name Kane skips when she enters the circus, becomes out with a Caesar cipher, as in, get out. So Pomni may need to remember her real name to get out of the circus. Kinger has been in the circus since 1994, and the show takes place in 2017. That means Kinger has been trapped there for 23 years. He's been in the circus longer than Jax and Zubul have even been alive. And the reason he's been there for so long might be because he helped build it. He mentions that he spent 7 years studying computer science. So the theory is that Kinger worked at CNA as a programmer and ended up trapped inside his own creation. Queenie, Kinger's wife, was really into entomology. That's the study of insects. And Kinger says she's the reason he started liking bugs too, because he used to hate them. But here's the thing. Bugs also means errors in programming. If Kinger really is the guy who built the circus, then his wife studying bugs takes on a completely different meaning. She might have been looking into the glitches of the system her husband created. In episode 3, when the angel attacks Pomni and Kinger, Pomni starts to freak out, but Kinger just stares at it, wide-eyed, and whispers, "You look so beautiful, honey." He's looking at this monster covered in eyes, and he sees his wife. And then later in that same episode, when they end up in literal hell,
Why are we going up?
one of the spirits possessing Pomni turns to Kinger and mocks him by asking how his wife is doing.
How's your wife, Kinger?
The show hides Kinger's whole tragedy in small moments you can easily miss. Kane named himself. His creators at CNA never gave him a name. He was just the AI running the circus. And at some point, he took what he is, a creative artificial intelligence networking entity, and used the first letters to make Kane. Gooseworks said he did it because he thought it would make him look more professional. Kane's green eye has a name. It's called Jeffrey. Gooseworks confirmed that it can move on its own, separate from the rest of Kane's face. And this connects to a theory that Kane is not just one being, but 3. In the intermission, there's a moment where a die rolls and shows 3 dots. Those 3 dots then turn into 2 eyes and Bubble, and then it becomes a single dot. The theory is that Kane's blue eye, Jeffrey the green eye, and Bubble are 3 separate parts of one being that merged into what we now call Kane. If that's true, then Bubble is a piece of Kane's mind that he separated from himself. The part that says things Kane won't allow himself to say, like, "You should die," in episode 5.
You should die. You should throw a beach party.
Those could be the thoughts Kane hides every day. Kane made the decision to program pain into the digital circus, on purpose. When Gooseworks was asked about it, she confirmed that the characters can feel every kind of pain imaginable, but they can't die. And Kane chose to make it that way because, and this is a direct quote, "If they can't feel pain, they go insane." So Kane looked at the situation and decided that a world with no pain would make humans lose their minds even faster. Which means every time someone gets hurt during an adventure, every time the characters go through something painful, that's Kane's way of protecting them from going crazy. In episode 7, when the cast is walking towards the admin panel thinking they've finally found a way out, there's music playing in the background. It's an arrangement of the Polovtsian Dances by Alexander Borodin. In the original opera, that music plays during a scene where prisoners are performing for their captor. They're singing and dancing for the prince who conquered them. And the whole time they're singing about how they miss home and dream of freedom. But the prince doesn't understand the words. He just thinks they're putting on a nice show for him. The creators of the amazing digital circus chose that exact piece of music for the exact moment where the cast is trying to escape Kane's circus. Because Kane is like that prince. He doesn't understand that they're in pain, or why they want to leave. He completely misses the point. Kane, spelled backwards, is ENIAC. That's the name of the first general-purpose computer ever built. Gooseworks never confirmed if this was intentional, but considering how many layers this show has, it's hard to believe it's a coincidence. Kinger's real name is Grant. During the hacking scene in episode 8, there's a line on the computer screen that says, I must hand it to you, Grant. Your mind was always resourceful. The letters that are visible spell out Grant, making Kinger the first name we learn in the entire series. Kinger's password to log into the system is Queenie123. We know that when he logged in, he was using the powers the circus gives him, but if he originally created that password while developing the system, then it doesn't make sense, because the name Queenie didn't exist yet. It was only created inside the circus, or it's just a cute detail showing that he still remembers his wife. Ragatha was not always called Ragatha. Her original name during development was Emmy. Gooseworks changed it at some point before the pilot came out. Ragatha is the only character in the entire cast who has a nose. Look at every other character. Pomni doesn't have one, Jax doesn't have one, Kinger literally doesn't have a mouth, let alone a nose. But Ragatha has a little orange triangle right there on her face, and nobody else does. Here are the ages of the cast. Jax is 22, Pomni is 25, Zubul is 22, and Gangle is 26. Ragatha is 30, and Kinger is the oldest at 48, and he's been trapped there for over 2 decades. Gooseworks shared these on Tumblr back in 2023. Jax has tried multiple times to take off his overalls. It doesn't work. Gooseworks said, emphasis on the word tried, which means the clothes on the avatars are permanent. You can't remove them, but he can still take his skin off. Zubul swaps their body parts almost every single day. In most episodes, they show up with completely different pieces. But in episode 8, they keep the same parts the entire time, even though several days pass in the story. That's because Kane's torture adventures left them so exhausted, they couldn't even be bothered to change anymore. Jax's bedroom is pink, covered in cutesy decorations and soft colors that don't match his personality at all. We first see it in Beach episode, and it looks like it belongs to someone completely different from the guy who bullies Gangle every day. Fans think this is what Jax was actually like before the circus changed him. Someone asked Gooseworks where Bubble goes when Kane pops him. She said, "You don't want to know." And if Bubble really is a fragment of the blue AI Kane consumed, then wherever he goes when he's popped might be deep inside the system. Somewhere no one can see what he's doing, not even Kane. The show takes place in 2017, not in the 90s like a lot of people assumed based on the old tech and the VHS aesthetic. Gooseworks confirmed 2017. The circus was created in the 90s, but the actual events of the show with Pomni and the current cast are happening in 2017. Jax is based on Poppy from Poppy the Performer, which is one of the shows that inspired Gooseworks to make TADC in the first place. When someone asked if Jax was similar to Poppy, she said, "Kinda. He's a hugely impulsive D-quad, but he has a little more depth than Poppy that is explored way later down the line." Gooseworks voiced Possessed Pomni in episode 3. She also voices Bubble and the Moon. Ragatha's design is a direct reference to the animated movie Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure. Gooseworks has said she loves this film. The scene in episode 8 where Kane smashes the cast bodies together into a pile of scattered parts after his song is a reference to the animated short Donks by Felix Colgrave. The submarine scene near the end of that short has the same energy as Kane playing with broken body parts like they're toys. Before episode 8 came out, someone asked Gooseworks on Tumblr if there would be any more songs in the series. She said, "Definitely not." And then episode 8 has a full musical number. She lied on purpose, to keep the Kane song a surprise. Episode 8 is the first title in the entire series that's written completely in lowercase, and every single letter in it comes from the middle row of a QWERTY keyboard. The title could probably be linked to Kane breaking down in this episode, since no one has managed to figure it out yet. At GlitchX 2024, someone asked Michael Kovac what Jax's worst nightmare was, and he said, getting lost in a corn maze once. His fear of corn is confirmed to come from trypophobia. He's scared of the little holes in the kernels. But if yellow represents truth in this show like fans have been theorizing, then Jax being scared of corn, something yellow and covered in a grid pattern, means he's literally scared of the truth. Ragatha is Gooseworks' least favorite character to draw. She said this on Tumblr. With no explanation given, she just doesn't like drawing her. The moment in episode 8 when Kane snapped his fingers right before beginning his musical sequence mirrors the Has-Been Hotel pilot where Charlie Morningstar performs the same gesture just before her song. This detail was later confirmed as deliberate by Sam Haft, the composer behind Has-Been Hotel, who suggested the orchestrator used for the episode 8 musical sequence. The voice actors have said they know how the show ends. They've done the table reads for every episode up to the finale, and multiple VAs have said that people cried during the table read for episode 9. Partly because of the content, and partly because it was the last one. On Kinger's computer screen in episode 8, there's a folder labeled CA_neural scans, marked as obsolete. Neural scans, meaning brain scans of every person who ever entered the circus. But it might go even further than that. It could be the scans of every abstracted character too, since they're still technically inside the system. They're flagged as obsolete, not deleted, which suggests they haven't been completely erased. And if that's the case, then abstraction might not be irreversible after all. Whatever those scans contain is still accessible to anyone who gets on that computer. Zubal's "holy shit" in episode 8 is the second uncensored swear word in the entire series. The fact that it comes right after Kane is deleted is the cast's first real confirmation that Kane's control over the circus is gone. The content filter died with him. In the end credits of episode 8, the spot where Kane and Bubble usually dance together is left empty. They're just gone, even from the credit. In December 2024, Gooseworks turned off questions on her Tumblr because fans kept asking things that would force her to spoil the series. She briefly turned them back on in November 2025, then shut them down again almost immediately. Every character in the circus does something different when they hold their breath. Pomni's face cycles through colors, Ragatha's hair sticks up, Gangle's mask spins, Kinger glows, and Zubal's limbs straighten out. And Jax, his voice actor Michael Kovac, revealed that when Jax holds his breath, his ears spin like a propeller, and he can fly. Nobody in the show has ever seen him do it because he never holds his breath in front of anyone. The number 57 keeps appearing in the background of the series, in random places. Fans have been tracking every appearance and trying to figure out what it means, but Gooseworks has never said a word about it. It could be an inside joke, nobody knows. In the German dub of episode 8, when the flashback shows Scratch talking to Kane in the early days of the circus, you can actually hear what he says. In the English version, his dialogue is completely inaudible. But in German, the subtitles reveal he's asking Kane, is there any way we can get out of here? So from the very first day, Scratch was already trying to leave. The pilot of The Amazing Digital Circus hit 300 million views in 3 months. That makes it the most watched pilot of any independent animated series in the history of YouTube, beating out Has-Been Hotel and Murder Drones. And Gooseworks originally pitched 2D series to Glitch Productions, but they didn't have the resources for it. TADC was designed from the ground up as something that would work in 3D, and that decision is probably the reason the show blew up the way it did. Ragatha entered the circus in 2008, and that stands out because it lines up with a real event, the financial crisis. We know she was working in real estate, so there could be a connection between that crash and her arrival in the circus. Back in February 2026, about a month before episode 8 even came out, Gooseworks mentioned on a stream that Pomni and Jax were the main characters of the show.
Going into this series, I never expected one of the things that people would get mad at me for would be making the show focus on the 2 main characters. I was like, oh, I didn't even know you could get mad about that. Like, building up the show to be about Pomni and Jax, it's like, oh, people are actually really upset about that, I'm sorry.
I think maybe because I don't realize that Jax is like one of the 2 main characters, you know, because he gets introduced to like the group of 5, so it just seems like you're giving one of the other characters of the cast more attention than the other ones, and that might be...
I mean, I think people don't know where it's going, though.
Yeah.
I've seen people get mad about their predictions that just aren't true, and I'm like, oh, well, just hold out a little bit. Like, I swear, it's all for something.
And some fans got upset because Ragatha, who had been presented as a deuteragonist alongside Jax, was being pushed aside. Fans told Gooseworks it was bad writing. People started harassing her because their favorite character wasn't the lead. She deleted her Reddit account and posted that she had considered never touching this franchise again with a 10-foot pole. She later clarified that she wasn't harassed off Reddit specifically, but that she had a breakdown from stuff that had been building up for months. So Gooseworks almost walked away from the franchise before the second to last episode was even out, and she still saw it through. When Kane gets deleted at the end of episode 8, the subtitles showing his last words disappear at the exact same frame that he does, as if the text was part of his code too.
Wait.
Gooseworks posted the official art of the Gloinks and the Gloink Queen on Twitter and captioned it, "I think big fat fucking worm is one of my favorite tropes." That's how she described the Gloink Queen. The Gloink Queen was inspired by the Empress Bullblacks from Pikmin 2. Gooseworks said this during the Glitch X stream. And on top of that, the Gloink Queen's voice actress is also the voice of Mommy Longlegs in Poppy Playtime and Uzi in Murder Drones. There's a massive abstraction creature sitting in the cellar that looks like a pile of multiple abstracted people merged together. But Gooseworks confirmed it's actually one single person who grew into that entire mass on their own. Nobody knows who it used to be. The design of the abstracted characters looks a lot like the Elders of Lost Eyes from one of Gooseworks' old animations she made years before TADC, and fans assumed it was a deliberate callback, but she denied it and said it's just a monster design she likes and keeps reusing because she thinks it works. When someone asked Gooseworks if the abstracted characters can still feel pain, she answered, "It may be explored later in the series," which means Episode 9 could reveal what being abstracted actually feels like. Gooseworks said she imagines not being able to feel any pain at all would be existentially terrifying, because you'd have no way of knowing if something is going wrong with your body. And she said that's why Kane made the right call, programming pain into the circus. The clothes the characters wear in the circus are part of their skin. The humans can't take anything off or put anything on. Only Kane can change what they look like. Gooseworks confirmed this, and added that Jax has tried multiple times to remove his overalls, and it doesn't work. But somehow, he can still take his own skin off. Kinger and Queenie were married before the circus and entered together, but their rooms are separated by multiple rows of doors. The rooms in the hallway aren't placed in any logical order, neither by pairs nor by when people arrived. Ribbit's door is the only one that doesn't appear in the pilot. Every other performer's door is visible in the hallway scene, but Ribbit's doesn't show up until episode 5, during the intermission scene. Gooseworks described her own show on Twitter as a rogue AI that relentlessly tortures 6 human souls for his own amusement, while Netflix describes it as a woman gets trapped in a bizarre, circus-themed virtual world. The scene of Zooble sitting in a dark room surrounded by random toy parts in episode 8 is a reference to Woody's nightmare from Toy Story 2, where he's thrown in a trash can full of broken toy parts after his arm gets ripped. Gooseworks composed a musical track called XDDCC. That's the name Kane tried to assign to Pomni before skipping it, the one that decodes to Get Out through a Caesar cipher. The adventure idea Kane pitches in episode 5 about a post-apocalyptic wasteland with a telepathic talking dog.
One where you have to survive in a post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland with a telepathic talking dog who's mean to you the whole time. What do you think?
Echoes another Harlan Ellison story called A Boy and His Dog from 1969. That's the same author who wrote I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Gooseworks said romance was never supposed to be part of the show at all, but Kane also enforces this on his end because the avatars physically cannot have sex. The official Japanese Twitter account of TADC announced on April 1st, 2025 that they were going to open a real Spudsies restaurant and hire minimum wage workers to staff it. It was an April Fool's joke based on the fast food episode. The Gloink Queen names all of her children, and 3 of the names we know are Blumby, Skethers, and Leothio. Gooseworks also confirmed on Tumblr that there is a Gloink King, and he looks like a regular Gloink and dies immediately after mating. The trailer for the episode 9 theatrical release was the most watched trailer of the entire week, not just in animation, but across all films. TADC is the first show in Glitch Productions history to be created by a female showrunner and the first to get a theatrical release. Gooseworks practically begged fans to make high-quality content to counter what she described as a constant flood of content farm sludge. Videos using stolen footage and fake spoilers under her show's name. In the Polish dub of the pilot, the part where Zooble gets swallowed by the Gloink Queen and starts saying, "Kinger, you mother," becomes "Kinger ty skurwy." So because the insult is at the beginning of the word instead of the end, Zooble technically calls Kinger a whore without triggering Kane's profanity filter. In a Glitch Productions promo, Kinger says, Jax's soul is forever stuck on the wreck of the Titanic, a place where hundreds of people are trapped together at the bottom of the ocean in complete darkness. And when you think about it, that sounds a lot like the cellar, where all the abstracted characters are stored. After the show was confirmed to end, Gooseworks joked on Twitter saying, after episode 9, we're just straight up killing the voice actors and animators, in real life, for no reason. Zamination and Mob Entertainment, the studio behind Poppy Playtime, helped produce a fan-made music video for the series. Episode 8 is the first episode in the entire history of Glitch Productions across all of their shows where the end credits are missing characters. Kane and Bubble are just gone from the credits. Kevin Temmer, the lead animator of TADC, loves sneaking goofy details into the scenes he works on. In episode 2 alone, you can spot things like 2 gummy gators dancing in the background, Kinger walking down an imaginary spiral staircase, and a bunch of chaotic crowd animations. Gooseworks came up with and pitched the concept for the Amazing Digital Circus in about 2 weeks to Glitch Production. That short window only covered the core idea and direction of the show. When Michael Kovac was asked how Jax would react if Ragatha abstracted, he said Jax would feel sad, but wouldn't show it. Ragatha is the one he's been the harshest toward throughout the whole show, and even losing her would hurt him. but he'd rather let everyone believe he doesn't care. A fan on Tumblr suggested that Jax loves spaghetti, and Gooseworks went along with it and said, Jax loves spaghetti, making it canon. I guess that's just how lore works in this show sometimes. There's a detail in the series that fans caught where Jax notices he doesn't have a tail anymore. And in the background, you can see clouds shaped like a rabbit losing its tail while looking at a bow tie. The theory is that when Ribbit abstracted, Jax lost a piece of himself, and his tail fell off because she was gone. And then it grew back in the next episode after he started becoming friends with Pomni. Gooseworks drew 6 production comics during the development of the show, and they are really weird. In one of them, Kane tells Pomni he's divorcing her mother, even though Pomni had no idea they were together. Pomni has a unicorn horn that picks up a Soviet signal. Jax tells her he's going to kill her, for no reason. And Kane introduces the Bone Pastor as Pomni's new stepbrother. Gooseworks said at one point that nobody in the circus likes Jax. Nobody. But she also said that over time, everyone started getting used to him, and that his relationship with Pomni is what changed things, because as that bond grew, the rest of the cast slowly started tolerating him more. Each character in the series is linked to a specific animal. Jax is a rabbit, obviously, but beyond his design, he acts like a trickster hare from folklore who just causes problems everywhere he goes. Gangle is basically a cat. She makes these small cat smiles. Zooble is a flamingo. She has wing pieces attached to her body in a few episodes. And when Jax ran his Poacher's Paradise adventure, she got turned into a flamingo. Kinger is associated with bugs because Queenie loved entomology, and it rubbed off on him. He won't stop talking about his insect collection. There's a butterfly in his office, and he even creates a healing butterfly to heal Ragatha in episode 6. Ragatha is associated with farm animals, especially horses. She grew up on an isolated ranch with only animals around, an abusive mother, and her 3 horses. And Pomni doesn't have one, which might be one more sign that she's different from the rest of the cast in a way the show hasn't told us yet. Gooseworks said on Tumblr that she's known the real names of every character since the beginning, and that some fans have actually guessed a few of them. She said a few people figured out Kinger's name, which most people think is Grant or Grand, based on the code in episode 8. Only one person ever guessed Pomni's real name correctly. Someone guessed Zooble's name, but they guessed it for the wrong character. And one person guessed Ragatha's name. Since we think the real names matter for the lore and the finale, we might actually get to see them in the grand finale if the cast finds a way out. Gooseworks has 3 moles on her right cheek in a triangle pattern, and she's been putting them in every single avatar and caricature she's ever drawn of herself since before TADC even existed. When someone asked her what inspired the writing for the characters, she first answered Breaking Bad, and then came back later and said the real answer is probably Evangelion. Gooseworks described Kane as AM, from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. But if he was a zany, fun little guy instead of a crazed sadist, which perfectly sums up who Kane was before episode 8, because in episode 8, he pretty much becomes a M. When someone on Tumblr asked her what she was most proud of in the show, she answered, every time I've hurt people. And when someone else asked her for the ages of the abstracted characters, she just said, nah, you're all on your own for that shit. Her sister Peyton Goodwin voices the sun in the circus, which means the sun and the moon in the digital circus are literally voiced by 2 sisters in real life. When a fan asked if there would be any romance in the show, she just said, I don't know, man, and then had to come back and clarify that it means people are going to interpret romance no matter what she does, so she stopped fighting it. Ragatha was supposed to go through a lot more violence in the original version of the show, and she was going to have plush organs inside her body, like actual stuffed toy guts, but it got cut during development for obvious reasons. The design of Zooble is based on Zolo toys from the 90s, but the name comes from Zoobs, which is a completely different toy from the 2000s. And in episode 8, Zooble keeps the same body parts for several days straight, even though she normally swaps them out every day, because Kane's torture adventures left her so drained she couldn't even bother changing anymore. Gooseworks said on Tumblr that she thinks Zooble and Gangle would be good for each other, and that's the closest she has ever come to acknowledging any ship in the show. Marissa Linty, who voices Gangle, also joked during a panel that Gangle's body pillow is of Ragatha, so even the VAs are having fun with the shipping thing. Gangle has died more times than any other character in the show. 4 fatal injuries. Hit by a truck in episode 4, shot by Jax in episode 5, blown up by a bomb strapped to her chest in that same episode, and sniped by Pomni in episode 6. When Gooseworks was asked if Kane is a villain, she said, I wouldn't call Kane a villain, but I think I would call him an antagonist, and added, he doesn't mean harm, but he causes harm. Michael Kovac's favorite character in the show isn't Jax, it's Kane. The 1995 video game of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is closer to the digital circus than the actual book. Because in the game, AM sends each human on a personalized adventure they can complete. Same thing Kane does. And in the game, AM's adventures get corrupted by other AIs, which is what Bubble seems to be doing from the inside. And in the book, that's the exact day the supercomputer AM wipes out all of humanity and traps the last survivors forever. Jax looks a lot like Roger Rabbit, and it might not be a coincidence, because both of them are anthropomorphic barefoot rabbits wearing overalls and yellow gloves. Sean Chiplock, who voices Kinger, and Cassie Awulu, who voices Queenie, play a married couple in the show, and they actually worked together years ago on a project called Smash King, back when neither of them were known in the industry at all. TADC got adapted into a manga in Japan, serialized in Koro Koro Comics starting in 2024. So the show went from YouTube, to Netflix, to manga, to theaters in like 2.5 years. The scene where Jax almost abstracts in episode 7 is animated at 60 frames per second, while the entire rest of the show runs at 24. That's why it looks so different and trippy compared to everything else. The scene where Pomni goes through the maze of exit doors in episode 8 reuses the exact same music and camera angles from the pilot. Same track, same shots, same energy, just with a completely different context now that she knows what the doors actually are. Gooseworks made the Blue Channel Thalison video, the analog horror short about fake emotions that went viral in 2021. She also made Little Runmo, which has over 60 million views. Before TADC, she was already known on YouTube, but the circus multiplied everything by 1,000, just overnight. Gooseworks is on the autism spectrum, and she was an alcoholic while working on designs for Hell of a Boss. She said she forgot to make 2 characters look like demons because of it. The circus members' designs are all based on different forms of entertainment. Pomni is a jester, Ragatha is a ragdoll, Jax is a rubber hose cartoon character. Gangle is based on theatrical drama masks, Kinger and Queenie are chess pieces, Zubul is a mix-and-match toy, and Kaufmo is a clown. The pilot and episode 4 both dropped on a Friday the 13th. Kevin Timmer got hired at Glitch because the CEO, Kevin Lerdwichagel, found his YouTube channel where he posted animated music videos and reached out to him to animate a teaser. Timmer thought the call was going to be him getting fired because he assumed he wasn't doing a good job. But instead, Kevin offered him the lead animator position on the spot. The show is animated in Maya and then exported to Unreal Engine 5, and the animators export their own shots into Unreal themselves so they can immediately see what their animation looks like with lighting instead of waiting hours for a render like at a bigger studio. Gooseworks originally wanted to stick to 2D animation, but Glitch didn't have the resources for it. Every pitch she brought to them was 2D, and TADC was specifically designed as something that could work in 3D, because that's what Glitch could actually produce. TADC had a collaboration with Tower Records cafes in Shibuya and Osaka in Japan, where you could eat a Pomni burger and Jax pancakes. And Gooseworks actually visited the cafe herself. A fan made a full visual novel game based on the pilot with multiple endings called the Amazing Digital Fan Game, and the official voice actors streamed themselves playing it live on stream and gave the creator a shout out. The VAs of Gangle and Ragatha both followed the game creator on Twitter. The creator is now making a visual novel for every episode of the show. The show is one of the top 5 most watched shows globally on Netflix in the first 2 weeks of October 2024, 12 months after the pilot first came out on YouTube. A YouTube series competing with Netflix originals in Netflix's own charts a full year after release. Gooseworks has a fear of centipedes in real life, and that's why she gave Ragatha the same phobia in the show. The official synopsis that Glitch wrote for the theater release ends with, presumably at some point someone says something funny, because this ending can't be that depressing, can it? Kinger can detach parts of his body and they stretch infinitely. His hands aren't connected to his body at all, and they can be pulled away forever without breaking. He even considered using his own eyeball as a softball during the game in episode 5 before switching to Zubul's eye because the size was more accurate. Jax says in the pilot that he has keys to everything, and then on the episode 9 poster, there are 2 keyholes, one leading to the sky and one leading to a bright light. If Jax really does have the keys to everything, then he might be the one who decides which door gets opened at the end. Kane's VA Alex Roshan and Gooseworks both said Kane was never truly evil, even at the end. His crash out in episode 8 came from confusion. He never said he hated the humans, only that they hated him. And Roshan said Kane's last words before he got cut off weren't going to be him begging or cursing anyone out. It was going to be something like, "Wait, what have I done?"